So we're back with the Pinnacle Ramin 3 Plus, and I've been out for a ride with this extended head tube, steerer tube, and it seems sturdy enough, nothing's worked loose. I suppose I said I'm a little bit apprehensive about, the way this works. It would have been nice to have a longer steerer tube, but it was cut down, as I said, far too much, and so I've extended it with this. I'm fairly confident it's going to do what it needs to do now. So what remains is to just make sure it's torqued up to the right settings. We do get some torque settings with the extension piece. We need 14 to 15 Newton meters, and this is a critical component, so we want to make sure the torques are correct. The other reason we want to make sure the torques are correct is I'm pretty sure those are alloy bolts, so we don't want to over torque those because we risk snapping them. So I'm just going to do these one by one. In fact, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take each one out. Actually, there's a little spring washer on there, which is pretty good. But I'm going to put some thread lock compound on there as well, just for additional security, because we don't want that to come off. So we've got that in, got the torque wrench already set up to the low side of that 14 to 15, I think I'm on 14. Just going to check that. Yep. So there we are on 14 Newton meters. So there you go, in theory that should be perfectly secure. Shouldn't have any problems with that coming off. Once that thread lock sets in, we're immune to vibration as well, because we've got those spring washers on too, so belts and braces. Just check that we haven't compromised the head bearing. That's fine, that's all secure. So we're almost ready to ride, but not quite. We're going to do one more thing. We're going to address that low gearing. I've got myself a replacement chain wheel. Now, just checking out with the original, you can see there's a bit of a difference there. The original's a 32 tooth chain wheel, don't forget, and the replacements, I went for 36. 36 and 38 are widely available. I did the debate about the actual gearing. Just coming back to the numbers, if we look at the rear cassette again, on the outer of the highest gear, we've got 11 teeth at the back, 32 at the front by standard, 36 at the front, which is going to give us a bit of a better ratio. Essentially, if you want to think about this simply, if you look at the ratios in detail, it kind of just adds an extra gear on top. The spacing on the rear cassette is, for the higher gears, it's 2 teeth, so we've got 11, 13, 15, 17, 21. Then I think we might have 24, so that's a gap of 3, and then it goes up in 4s. Now, as I said before, tinkering with the front chain wheel affects the gearing across the range, but of course the gearing, it does depend on a ratio. So the more, how can I explain this, the more teeth we have on the back, the less effect we have by introducing extra teeth on the front. So what that means is we're going to get a good payoff at the high gears and not too much compromise in the lower gears. Now, the other reason for caution was I was worried about a bigger chain wheel not fitting with this kind of bulging chainstay, and sure enough, this 36 tooth chain wheel is about 2 centimeters wider in diameter, so 1 centimeter in radius, which is a heck of a lot larger. than the original. If I'd gone for a 38 it would have been even bigger, and I think we would have had problems with that. If you're going to do this, by the way, what you need is a BCD 104 single chain wheel. BCD is the bolt circle diameter, and essentially that's the distance between the centres of these opposing mounting bolts, and this is a 4 bolt mounting system. The other thing is, this is a better chain wheel all round. This is a narrow wide, which means that the teeth alternate between a sort of skinny and a fat tooth, and that, you know, if you look down at the chain links, that means it fits the chain much better. This one's just, as far as I can tell, all the teeth are the same width, so this is a cheap chain wheel. So we should get a better fit, better integrity. You know, you're less likely to drop the chain. I guess the chain doesn't wear necessarily quite as fast. So we've got to put this on now. I did buy this special tool for, so like a little spanner for undoing the chain wheel bolts. Now I've discovered I don't actually need that. The chain wheel bolts on this setup, they're normally on the rear surface there. Well, I'm told they have a slotted face, so you need this special spanner. But this one's just got hex keys on the front and back. They're different sizes. I haven't measured this. I can't see what sizes these are without my glasses on. So no special tools required for this. And these are steel bolts. You do, some of them are alloy, but these ones are steel. So when we tighten them up, we're not going to have to worry too much about over torquing them. So I've tried this on with a kind of a test fit, and I have to say my fears were kind of justified. We are going to be perilously close to this chainstay. I mean, there is clearance, but I kind of worry that we're going to get, you know, that's we're going to, once we get some mud in there, you know, it's a point of obstruction. So although it's going to run without any adjustments, I think I might try adjusting this bottom bracket. I've undone the bottom bracket clamp, and it can just rotate forward. The problem at the moment I've got is this chain guard that's basically held firm between there. So if I rotate, and of course if I undo the clamp that holds the bottom bracket, the whole bracket, because this is an eccentric bracket, will rotate, and then it will move the crankshaft forward, which is what I want. But this support for the chain guide moves with it, and I can't adjust the position of that without separating, or at least slackening off the bottom bracket itself. And I don't have the right tool for that. I'm not sure what tools you need, but I don't have whatever you need. So what I'm probably going to do is just, for now, leave the chain guard off. I mean, running these narrow wide chain wheels, you know, kind of removes the need for the chain guard, because the chain's much less likely to pop off. I'm going to put the wheel on, and then the chain wheel on, and then decide on the specific final position of that bottom bracket. So we'll see how we go. Now there's one other thing we need to take account of when thinking about replacing the front chain wheel, and this is another good reason not to jump straight to a 38 tooth chain wheel. I did notice when I was doing a test ride after fitting this wheel that the chain gets pretty tight when we're in the top gear. In fact, there's almost no slack left there at all. I did worry that we'd gone too far and this was too extreme, but doing a little bit of research, the chain is just about on the limit of the right length. We're in top gear, bottom gear now. If we look at the extension of the derailleur, we've still got two distinct bends in the mechanism there. There's still room for some movement there, but we're getting close now. When you think this through, if you remember, the diameter of this chain wheel was 2 centimeters wider, so the radius is 1 centimeter wider. That's going to translate to about an extra, 6 centimeters on the circumference. In fact, you can measure that if you just measure the. Don't forget, we've got 4 extra teeth, So if you measure the pitch of 4 teeth, that's about 5.5 or 6 centimetres. And then of course, because we moved the crank forward by, well, maybe half a centimetre, that's another centimetre in the round trip. So just to summarise that, we're going halfway around the chain wheel, so we get maybe 3 centimetres added onto the chain length there, and then we've got maybe another centimetre because of that shift in the crank. So that's quite a substantial change in the path that the chain has to go around. And imagine if we went up by another 4 teeth, that's another 3 centimetres. That probably would be too much. So again, the things we need to think about are not always completely obvious. The fact that this shifts easily into the bottom gear is probably a good indication that we're not at the limit yet, but I do think if I'd gone to 38 teeth on the front, we probably would have lost that top gear and probably risked breaking something, and in other words we would have needed a new chain, and that's if the sprocket would have even fit.